Well, good morning, everybody. How are you doing this fine day? I think it's Monday, start of your week. Hope you're all excited and ready to go for the week. Anyway, today I want to talk about one of the biggest flat earth liars on the internet. And I say that because on his channel, if you look up Level Earth Observer, on his channel, nearly every one of his videos has somebody as a liar. And I hate seeing that. I hate people calling other people liars. And I agree, that's me today. But I hope you'll see that this guy is basically not telling anything that's true in order to hide that from his viewers. And I just didn't think that was proper. If you have looked at a website, you've read the text, you see what's there, and then you clip and cut and make sure nothing shows except what you want people to see. And that, to me, is just the worst of things you can do as you're trying to teach people on the internet. You can correct me if you're wrong, if I'm wrong, but that's what I believe. And this guy, Level Earth Observer, sometimes people call him Leo. I think the guy, well, I won't tell you that. So Leo makes videos, and ironically, practically every video he makes is about space, the moon landing, the ISS. You know, it's all about space. And of course, if you've been around a while, you know that flat earthers don't believe in space. Space doesn't exist. The ISS doesn't exist. Man never went to the moon. All this stuff, but he has to teach about that practically every video he makes, which to me I find kind of ironic. Anyway, this video, the title is the James Webb Telescope, and how it proves that the Earth is flat. Okay, and that's not the exact title, but you get the idea. And so I want to show you a little bit of his video, and then I will talk about each one of these things that he brings up. He talks about James Webb Telescope, Sophia, which is a 747 based telescope, high altitude, and then of course he mentions the Hubble, and so I want to talk to you just a little bit about each one of these, just to show you how ingenuous he's being in his video. Okay, so here is the video from Leo, Level Earth Observer.
Okay, so it would seem not only is the James Webb a space telescope, but it would seem it's got 4 new instruments on there to make it better than the Hubble. Of course, a lot of people who visit this channel will be fully aware that a lot of the imagery that we get cited that supposedly comes from Hubble of course, be aware that it actually comes from the 747 aeroplane with a telescope on that many of us know as Sophia. And that kind of got me thinking, with the announcement of this James Webb and this new spec they've got here on this telescope, and of course with me knowing about Sophia, and of course Sophia being responsible for a lot of the imagery we see that comes supposedly from Hubble, that got me thinking, I wonder, has the Sophia got a new upgrade package lined up here that would potentially do the job of the James Webb Space Telescope? Remember, we've got 4 new instruments on this James Webb Space Telescope, as well as the telescope itself. Should we have a look? Should we see if the Sophia's got any new upgrades planned for this year that might tie in time-wise with this James Webb Space Telescope? Let's have a look. And strangely enough, when we come here, the Universities of Space Research Association, we see Sophia is due a massive upgrade. Sophia upgrading one-of-a-kind camera. We scroll down here. Sophia is upgrading the high-resolution airborne wideband camera plus with 4 new detectors. Remember that, 4 new detectors that will allow it to study magnetic fields in distant galaxy 4 times faster than its current rate. But if we think back just now to James Webb, the spec on that space telescope, what made it better than Hubble, it had 4 new instruments, didn't it? Do you remember? Bear with me. Here, this was the 4 new instruments on the James Webb Space Telescope, which is going to make it so much better than the Hubble Space Telescope. And then of course we come back to the Sophia with its new upgrade of its camera this year, and of course with 4 new detectors, sensors essentially, thus giving it game away. The Sophia upgrades, it would seem, are exactly the same as the spec of the James Webb Space Telescope. The Sophia gets its upgrade later this year into next year. The James Webb is scheduled to be sent into space at the end of this year and will be operational over the next year or so. The timelines are exactly the same. It would seem the spec is exactly the same. 4 sensors to add to the space telescope that the James Webb Space Telescope is, to make it so much better than the Hubble. But at the same time, Sophia, which of course most of us know is the Hubble anyway, is getting an upgrade to its camera with 4 new detectors. You can't make this stuff up. They're telling you it. They're literally telling you and showing you. We know this anyway, but it becomes very obvious when you compile this information, and the timelines give it away, and of course the spec gives it away. 4 new sensors and a new camera upgrade for the Sophia, which just happens to match the kind of timelines and the spec of the James Webb Space Telescope. Who would have thought?
Okay, so the same instruments that are on the Hubble telescope should be on this Sophia instruments. So as you can see on this diagram, Sophia has XS, EXES, FIFI LS, field imaging, forecast, FPI, great, GREAT. This is a real good thing if you want to look it up, and HAWC. So these are the only instruments on Sophia at the time. Sophia is due for an upgrade, just as Leo says. However, Sophia's upgrade is not until 2025. You can look that up and it will tell you that. That's another thing that was at the top of the page that Leo showed you, which he conveniently covered up. So this is what Sophia has. Now, I also read that the reason they have Sophia and that they use it is because after it makes a flight, takes pictures, does whatever it does, it can land and they can adjust the instruments, make whatever maintenance that needs to be added or whatever in order to keep it in prime working order. So it does fly at high altitude, it does take high image pictures, but as you can see, none of those instruments are the same instruments that are on the James Webb Telescope. Okay, so let's look at one more. The last one I have to show you here is the Hubble telescope, which is being retired. It's been up there for many years, and so it's being retired. And here you can see that only one instrument was launched with the observatory, and that is the third fine guidance sensor. The rest of these instruments that I'll mention were added at a later date on maintenance. High-speed photometer, faint object camera, faint object spectrograph, Goddard high-resolution spectrograph, wide field and planetary camera, the wide field and planetary camera 2. Okay, so these are the instruments that are on Hubble. This says past instruments. Let me show you this list of other instruments that are currently being used. Advanced camera for surveys, ACS, cosmic origin spectrograph, space telescope imaging spectrograph, wide field camera, WFC 3, fine guidance system, FGS, and then the near infrared camera and multi-object spectrometer, NICMOS. Again, you can see that these instruments, while they're very good instruments, but they're not the same instruments that are on the James Webb Telescope. And neither of these are on the Sophia. So all three of these have different uses. They have different instruments and are used for different things. So I hope you understand this. Level Earth Observer, if you're watching, if you'd like to refute anything I say, you're welcome to leave a comment. I'd be happy to talk to you sometime or email, but I would really encourage you to make sure that what you post in your videos is correct and that you have done the proper research to find the information that you're teaching people about. So that's all I have today, guys and gals. I hope that you will comment. The comments have been kind of dwindling off lately, so I always like hearing from you. You know that. So Please feel free to comment, even if you just say hi or, whatever. And we'll talk to you later.